Detective Michael Donovan, Case Manhattan Ripper. Chapter 1. The Discovery. The dimly lit alleyway was a stark contrast to the bustling streets of New York City just a few yards away. Detective Michael Donovan's footsteps echoed eerily against the cold, damp brick walls as he approached the crime scene. The faint odor of decay and garbage hung heavy in the air, intensifying the chill that settled in the pit of his stomach. The sharp scent of dried blood mixed with the musty aroma of the alley, assaulting his senses with the grim reality of the heinous crime before him. In the shadows, the lifeless body of the victim lay sprawled on the grimy pavement, a haunting testament to the Manhattan Ripper's brutality. The dim light from the nearby street lamp cast haunting shadows that danced across the victim's lifeless form, emphasizing the stark contrast between life and death. The victim's face was contorted in agony, frozen in a mask of terror and pain. A gory wound marred her throat, a deep, precise gash that seemed to slice through her very soul. The vibrant crimson of her blood stood out against the dull, gray surroundings, like an artist's brutal stroke against a canvas. As Donovan knelt beside the victim, he carefully avoided contaminating the crime scene. The sight of the cold, lifeless eyes and the gaping wound made Donovan's stomach churn. But he pushed aside the rising nausea, his focus unwavering. The victim's clothes were torn and stained, her body displaying signs of struggle and desperation, a chilling reminder of the horror she had endured before her life was mercilessly extinguished. But it wasn't just the gruesome murder that sent shivers down Donovan's spine. It was the message left beside the body. Cryptic symbols, meticulously carved into the rough brick wall with chilling precision, taunted the detectives and begged for interpretation. The symbols formed an intricate pattern, unlike anything Donovan had encountered before. They seemed to writhe and coil with a sinister energy, as if each stroke held some hidden meaning. The texture of the carved symbols under his fingers sent a shiver down his spine, and he could almost feel the malevolence seeping into his skin. What twisted mind conjured these symbols? Is this some sick game to him? Donovan's thoughts raced, trying to unravel the mystery before him. He felt a tinge of frustration at the lack of understanding. The Ripper had left them a message, but it might as well have been written in an alien language. As his gloved fingers traced the strange symbols, Donovan's mind raced with possibilities. He had seen his fair share of heinous crimes, but this one felt different, more personal. The killer had crafted this message with intent, as if he wanted Donovan to delve into the darkness alongside him. "This is his work, all right," Donovan muttered aloud, a breath visible in the cold night air. The Ripper's cryptic communication seemed to reach into Donovan's mind, playing twisted mind games with him. Detective Sarah Martinez, Donovan's partner, stood beside him, her face somber as she surveyed the scene. The flickering light from nearby street lamps cast eerie shadows over the crime scene, adding to the sense of foreboding. The distant sound of sirens echoed through the narrow walls, a constant reminder of the chaos and danger that lurked just beyond the darkness. "Same MO as the others, Donovan. It's like he's a ghost," Martinez said, her voice tinged with weariness. More like a malevolent phantom, Donovan thought. The Ripper's stealthy strikes left no witnesses, and his chillingly precise murders seemed to mock their every effort. "We've got to find him before he strikes again," Martinez said, her voice laced with urgency. "We will," Donovan replied, his determination unwavering. Yet he couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the Ripper was always one step ahead. His internal dialogue wrestled with the fear that the killer might slip through their grasp once more. As Donovan studied the cryptic symbols, he couldn't help but wonder if there was a hidden pattern, some clue that would unlock the message. But the symbols seemed to taunt him, daring him to find their meaning. "I can't let this consume me. Focus, Donovan. Focus on the task at hand," he reminded himself, trying to shake off the unease that crept into his mind. Turning his attention to the witnesses who had gathered nearby, Donovan approached a trembling woman who had witnessed the murder unfold. Her eyes were wide with fear as she recounted what little she had seen. I didn't see much. It was dark and I was just trying to get home," she stammered, her voice quivering. Take your time, Donovan said gently, trying to put her at ease. He knew that getting any information from her was vital to the investigation. He came out of nowhere like a shadow. I heard a scream, and when I turned, I saw him standing over her like a nightmare come to life, she said, tears welling up in her eyes. Donovan nodded, his heart heavy with empathy for the witness. Did you see anything else? Any distinctive features, clothing, or anything that might help us identify him? The woman shook her head, wiping tears from her cheeks. I'm sorry, Detective. It all happened so fast. He wore a dark coat and a hat pulled low, so I couldn't see his face. It's all a blur. Donovan thanked her for her cooperation, knowing that the trauma of witnessing such a horrific event could make it difficult for her to recall details. As the night wore on, Donovan's thoughts remained consumed by the case. The faces of the victims flashed before his eyes, their silent cries for justice echoing in his mind. The urgency of the investigation and the chilling nature of the crimes weighed heavily on his shoulders, the Ripper's twisted puzzle driving him to the brink of obsession. I won't rest until I catch you, Donovan vowed, clenching his fists in determination, unaware that the Manhattan Ripper was watching from the shadows, relishing the fear and desperation in the detective's eyes. The killer's enigmatic game had just begun, and Donovan was about to be drawn into a dark and deadly dance with a relentless and cunning adversary.